It's time for Screen Junkies Movie Fights.
I'm just here to make
Movie fights. Guys, we're back. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Movie Fights, another stellar edition of America's favorite movie-based game show. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Hal Rudnick. I'll be your host today. And we got some OG Screen Junkies Movie Fights competitors who are ready to throw down. Let's welcome first to the panel. Oh, he's the writer of Wonder Woman 77. He's an Eisner Comic Book Award winner.
Oh, what?
Please welcome Mark Andreyko.
Good to be back. It's been a while.
Good to have you, Mark. Yeah. So, what are you writing right now? Right now, as we speak.
Right now, I'm finishing up a steampunk Red Sonja book, a sequel to a book I did called Legendary Red Sonja.
Why
She's
do
a
you keep
pirate
writing
queen.
things that I love?
And then the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy Meet Betty and Veronica that I wrote with Paul Dini just finished. That'll be collected in a hardcover in a couple of months.
That sounds awesome.
It is really awesome. If you can catch, they're all, you can buy most of them. They are fucking amazing.
Nice.
And if I hear correctly, this weekend, maybe at C2E2, some super big project I'm working on will be announced.
Okay.
I can't talk about it yet.
How about a Movie Fights exclusive?
There are snipers from the company that I'm working for outside the building right now, so no.
That company takes things a little too seriously. Mark, thank you for being here. Very
pleasure.
exciting. You know him, you love him. He's super funny. Hashtag Botanicus. Mr. Mike CARLSON. Mike.
Hi, hello there, Hal. How are you?
Mike,
Fine.
what are you writing right now?
I also have a lot of announcements at C2E2 this weekend,
Right.
but they will not be at any of the panels. You'll have
That's
to find
security
me.
saying you're not allowed in.
You'll have to find me, and I will announce it loudly.
Heck yeah. Okay.
I have a podcast, though.
Yeah, plug the hell out of it.
It's called Podcast the Ride. It's about theme parks. We're in the middle of a two-part episode about the failed Hard Rock theme park.
Oh.
There was a $400 million Hard Rock park with Led Zeppelin the ride and a ride based on the Moody Blues song Nights in White Satin.
I actually know about
Which
this.
is real. This is 100%
amazing.
real, and it supposedly was a great ride. And we're in the middle of talking about it with guest Jason Wolner.
Here's a fun fact. No one in our audience has heard of the Moody Blues.
I believe that.
They're an old band from
ask
like the
your-
60s and 70s.
Ask your grandparents about him.
Yeah.
They're going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, though.
Wow, that sounds awesome. You should. Have you ever done an episode about all the people that have been thrown off of rides and suffered fatalities?
We haven't gotten there. We're not even 6 months in, so we're going to save that one for maybe when we've run out of some ideas.
Yeah, that would be a dark episode.
Yeah.
Mike CARLSON, always great to have you, my man.
Thank you.
And whoa, I thought I got very confused because usually I look over somewhere else and I see Danielle, but Danielle, you've jumped into the ring today. You're gonna throw down. Danielle Radford. I'm excited to have you across the table.
I want corgis. I don't like fighting. I am a peace-loving woman. I don't know how this is going to work because I'm probably going to spend the whole time being like, you know what? That's a really good point.
Okay, then. I'm sure you'll bring up some great points of your own, and I'm sure you'll throw down. And I know you are the host. Why don't you plug your podcast? I know you host an exciting wrestling podcast.
My podcast, well, this is great because it's also WrestleMania weekend. My podcast is called Tights and Fights. We're on the Max Fun Network, and we talk about wrestling, and it is great. I think an episode just dropped, like, probably right now. We're getting ready to go into WrestleMania, my bays, and so everyone, I don't see Joe Starr, but in my heart, I'm just gonna pretend like I do, and I'm just gonna give him one of these.
Too sweet.
That's how I too sweet.
Yep, too sweet.
Oh, do you
too
wanna,
sweet for Joe Starr.
If I too sweet him, will you guys they'll get really mad, but like it's okay. Two sweets for everyone.
There we go. Awesome.
Don't get mad. Two sweets for everyone.
I have no idea what you just did.
It's a wrestling thing, and Danielle, how can we get mad at you because you are too sweet? Thank you for being here. So today's show is judged by three of us, myself, and we got the Dan Cam featuring Dan Merle. Dan, welcome to the party, pal.
Oh, happy to be here.
Oh, of course. So you are going to be checking some stuff throughout the show.
I will be checking the facts, and I'll be making my judgment based on accuracy, based on debate style, and arbitrarily, just like you.
Thank you, sir. Exactly. And next to Dan, and she will be holding it down on the social media. She's the voice of the people today. I was a little nervous because we didn't have Danielle, but we're not going to miss a beat because we have the super excellent and wonderful Roth Cornett.
Oh, we're going to miss a couple of beats.
No! Keep sending your corgis! corgis. Roth loves corgis, and she is an honorary Dan, and you respect her the way you respect anyone in the Dan camp.
I'm an official Dan today.
Yes, you
I am
are.
an official Dan, so that's pretty exciting. Dan's already been doing a little fact-checking on the Moody Blues here.
Did you know the Knights in White Satin ride was 4 minutes and 45 seconds long?
But you have flashbacks for the rest of your life.
Oh, damn
Despite
it,
the
we're
length
fucked.
of the song, I'm so excited about this
Yeah.
podcast. I do have rules for us and information. Please, I'm going to read it. So to vote in the polls, which we want you to do because that's how we're going to break the tie, if there is a tie between Hal and Dan, you guys get to decide. You have to use the iCards, which are located at the top right corner of the video with a little eye and a circle around it. Each round, you have to reset the new poll by clicking the settings wheel and turning your annotations on again and off again, or you can also refresh the whole video if you happen to love ads, which we know that you do. If you are confused by any of these instructions, and you likely are, there are instructions in the description box. Please do vote. That's how we will break the ties and decide the winner of this movie fights.
Oh, hell
Roth
yeah.
is so good at this.
Yep.
Thank you, Van.
Well done, Roth. And please, in addition to voting and commenting and all that stuff, send us comments and memes, preferably dank memes. Thank you.
I'm trying so hard to keep my mouth shut. All I want is take me.
And send this woman a corgi. Send Danielle a corgi. All right, you know
Also
what?
take
We've
but also
gibber.
send them to Roth.
Yes. Folks, we've jibber jabbered enough. I think it might be time to fight. JTE, drop that sick ass package.
Prepare to die. Ladies and gentlemen, no. It's main event time.
Yes! JTE, best package in the biz. So, as a reminder for y'all.
Going in there to that.
Yeah, don't touch. So, as a reminder, y'all, we have 3 regular questions that will be decided by myself, Dan, and Roth, going by your YouTube poll. After 3 rounds, we go to a speed round where there are 4 speed round questions. And so someone could be down 3-zip going into the speed round, but there's a chance to pull it out because it's anybody's ball game once we hit that speed round. Folks, you ready to do this?
Yes, I am, Hal.
Let's rock and roll. First question of movie fights. This week was the 50th anniversary of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, which got us thinking, what's the best science fiction film of all time? Wow. Whoa, it's a biggie. It's a big old question. And let's start with Mark Andreyko.
This is going to surprise people in the audience, but I picked The Empire Strikes Back. I think The Empire Strikes Back takes all the old sort of goofy serials that inspired George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. The original Star Wars is a little goofy of itself, it's a little cheaper. This one is a great sequel in that you can watch it and not ever watch any other Star Wars movie and get a full, satisfying movie. It takes all the cool special effects and gives them emotion. This is the movie where you find out, spoiler alert, that Darth Vader is Luke's father. This is where the sparks start flying between Leia and Han the first time. This was Yoda training Luke, very much like a bunch of Kurosawa film. It's just a great, great, great film that stands as a great second part of a trilogy, and it stands on its own as a great science fiction movie.
All right, Andreyko with Empire Strikes Back. Mike Carlson.
Hal, I'd like to start by looking up science fiction in the Merriam-Webster dictionary and reading it aloud, just for the heck of it. Science fiction. Fiction dealing principally with the impact of actual or imagined science on society or individuals, or having a scientific factor as an essential orienting component. Excuse me for that flub. Let me make it very clear what my choice is. The movie WALL-E. All right? We all remember this delightful tale of this little trash compactor robot on a garbage planet looking up at the stars. This is a movie that, says something about the world in which we are living today. It makes a point about consumption. It makes a point about having a sedentary lifestyle. These are plot points and elements in the movie that make a commentary on our real world today. And they do it in an adorable, amusing way with fun CGI characters. And here's the thing. Most sci-fi is good, it's fun, but it does not have the heart that WALL-E does, which I think is the extra special weapon in WALL-E's arsenal. It is a charming, awesome love story. I love WALL-E. It's the best science fiction movie of all time.
Okay, there's Mike Carlson. Danielle Radford.
I have chosen, which I think is the only true answer, is Terminator 2. In Terminator 2, you have both a machine who learns what it means to become a person and what it means to discover love. And you also have an elevated secondary character in the character that is played by Liv, who we all love, and she is amazing, and we love her, and she should be the best thing that ever happens to any of us. And those two elements are what I feel like makes sci-fi really pop. Sci-fi is about taking machines or taking like these supernatural elements, these scientific elements, and figuring out where they fit into our modern world. And Terminator 2 did that for everyone.
All right. Wow. Well, it's going to be Judgment Day for all of you right now. Fight it out.
All right, well, Empire Strikes Back. I don't want to get into semantics here. It's more of a fantasy movie, though. Really, science fiction, it doesn't really play with sort of elements in the real world. It just sort of invents fun, furry monsters, and we play like we...
Yeah, because when anyone thinks Star Wars, they think, oh, that's the series about fun, furry monsters.
I do. That's what I do.
I have to disagree with you. Like, Empire Strikes Back is definitely a sci-fi film, but what it also is not is a complete film, because in order to
Says the lady that also picked a sequel in the middle of a franchise.
No, you can watch and enjoy Empire Strikes Back without...
Yes, you can. That's my point.
You can
exactly.
enjoy and love Terminator 2. Empire Strikes Back is very, very dependent on having known the rest of it.
It is
absolutely
not.
It begins on something that you had to have known the previous iteration of the series on, and it ends with a cliffhanger. You have to know that series in order to really enjoy Empire. It's a great movie.
Talk to my nephew. That was the first one I showed my nephew, and he got everything and loved it.
Well, your nephew is very adorable and was probably very influenced by how much his uncle loved it. But it's...
No, I don't... I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I do acknowledge it's
No,
the best
I'm just saying, like, it's... In order to really understand the way that Empire works, you have to understand the entire series. And so it's not a standalone sci-fi movie. Whereas with Terminator 2, even if you don't see the first one, because I didn't see the first one when I first saw Terminator 2.
So the argument works that if you didn't see, that it works for your Terminator 2 that you didn't see the first one.
Yes, because Terminator 2 is a complete movie.
So is Empire Strikes Back.
Nah, it's a kid who has been through some shit. His mom has definitely been through some shit. And a Terminator comes down one day and then befriends him and becomes his stepdad. And then they rescue his mom and his mom. Like, you understand everything from a... No, but we all have it, and this is what Movie Fights is about. You have to argue your movie.
It's E.T. It's Lassie
not E.T.
with a robot.
It's not E.T. Mark, it is not
E.T.
E.T. is a different, better movie than all of these movies.
E.T.
Why didn't you pick E.T.?
Because it's not a sci-fi movie in my mind. It's more of a heartwarming family tale than a sci-fi movie.
Because even at the end, look, at the end of Terminator, when the Terminator dies, bwomp, 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 bwomp. I'm sorry, I'm playing sad music in my head and you're all feeling it in your voice. When the Terminator dies and sacrifices himself, it's because he finally learns what it means to be human. And that is what sci-fi is about. Sci-fi is parable, and sci-fi is about learning what it means to, like, what is humanity? What are we? What does it mean to be a robot? What does it mean to be an artificial life form? What does it mean to be an alien? That is the core of sci-fi, is examining sci-fi and examining ourselves.
Nobody's fired any shots at WALL-E yet.
Well, WALL-E doesn't really.
Well, because it's so good.
Yeah, no, there's no really.
How does
why
it not
would we
belong in
bother
this
with WALL-E?
It's a science fiction
no...
movie. It tells a cautionary tale of the future, and it uses fun characters that we love.
Well,
you're saying an emotional
also...
moment, but what's more emotional at the end of the movie when WALL-E thinks that Eve is dead? Spoiler alert, I'm sorry.
First of all, WALL-E is a very weird, nice guy who's like, well, if I do enough stuff for Eva, then she'll love me, which is not true and not cool. But also, Wall-E has like this weird fat shaming element of it, where it's like, oh, well, when we go up into the future, we're all gonna be too fat to like move out of our chairs. I'm fat, I have chairs. I also have a whole full-ass life. And I'm doing the job that most of you wish you were
I would
doing.
argue that Wall-E, I don't think Wall-E belongs in this category because actually Terminator 2 was my second choice for a movie. But
See?
Wall-E,
How does Wall-E not belong in
doesn't
here?
belong in this category because but I do don't think fat shaming is part of it. I think those.
No, it is. That's what it is.
It's a metaphor for the.
Well, it's the chairs. It's the chairs'
life of
fault.
how-
It's the
of
chairs.
How we become as we get more technology, we become more passive
and
on our
more
own
sedentary,
existences.
so it was very judgy. It was a very judgy movie.
Well, I think we described on an earlier episode, those chairs probably do a lot of weird things to the people in them. And I'm
No,
talking
but we
about,
don't show those. You can't argue what they probably
Well,
do.
it's in subtext,
If they-
I think.
No, if they don't show what the chairs do,
And the movie's
you
not really
can't
about the
argue
people; it's
it.
about the robots. So it's not really.
Yeah,
quite
it's really about this trash
humanity.
robot
It's about number
who
5.
scurries around like a goddamn raccoon and scurries and looks for other like weird
It's
parts.
adorable. He's on the planet. It's a beautiful thing. First of all, what does Star Wars Empire Strikes Back say about like our lives? What, you shouldn't go in the snow? It's cold in the snow. Stay away from a monster.
Well, no. What Empire Strikes Back says about our lives is that you should watch.
Why are you arguing for?
You should watch
Oh, okay.
the first movie and then the third movie, and that is what Empire Strikes Back says about our lives.
I think that Wall-E is a better all-around movie than Terminator. I think Star Wars shouldn't be in the category. We're having a lot of semantics. I'm so sorry. This is what I think
That is
people
what
hate.
this.
By you.
That's what this is.
But I know, but people don't like it when we're arguing what is a science fiction movie.
no,
but
they actually do.
They do like it?
Weirdly enough.
Let me know in the comments, do you like it when we argue about semantics? I would like to know. Anyway, as I'm saying, Wall-E is a better package. It hits all of the things that I'm saying, and it does it with more gusto. You know, at the end, you're saying an emotional moment when the Terminator gives himself up. That is not nearly as emotional as the emotional stuff in Wall-E.
Oh
Wall-E
my
hits
God,
harder.
are you fucking kidding me?
I am not
the
kidding.
end of
No.
Terminator 2 was not. We see it. We see we don't even need to see Terminator 1 in order to recognize that these humans are terrified of this Terminator because they think that he will hurt them. And in the end, he fucking has a soul and he loves them. And then he does the thumbs up. How dare you?
I didn't say it was
Danielle,
not at all
you've already
emotional.
surpassed Scott Mantz's amount of f-bombs. That he had a
Oh,
very
I'll
good.
do it more.
And how about
Over-
that? I've said nothing obscene today.
Wait.
All right, let's move
Wow.
into. Okay, let's start with some final thoughts. Mark Andreyko.
I don't think Wall-E really fits in this category. I think Wall-E's a great animated sci-fi picture, but I don't think it transcends. I don't think of the three of these, it's the least rewatchable. I don't agree that Terminator 2 is standalone, like you're saying that Empire Strikes Back isn't, because if you've never seen Terminator 1, you have no investment in Linda Hamilton's character because she's so harsh and robotic in that entire movie. You have no past for her. Star Wars, this sequel is elevated space opera. It has tons of emotional moments. Yes, it does end on a cliffhanger, but when I saw it when I was a kid 150 years ago and had to wait 3 years for the next one, the movie gave you enough, and the cliffhanger stuff it left, it made you want to figure that stuff out. What's going to happen to Han? Are Leia and Han going to get together? Is he really Luke's father? Those were things that propelled you, that you wanted to know, but you didn't need to know to enjoy this movie.
All right, Mike Carlson, final thoughts?
As I was saying, Empire Strikes Back, I have yet to hear something that actually makes a commentary on the real world as far as the movie is concerned. And Terminator, look, Terminator 2 is a great movie, but as I said, it doesn't check all the boxes. Wall-E is something that is optimistic, it is great, it is beautifully, let's talk about beauty for a second. This movie is more beautiful and looks better than these other two movies. It's a work of art. Also, this movie, I think, is aided by the fact that it is for all audiences. Sure, I'm saying Star Wars is not part of it, but as far as Terminator is concerned, children of all ages can't enjoy Terminator until they're of a certain age, and Wall-E can be enjoyed by everyone.
All right, thank you, Mike. Danielle?
Well, Terminator 2 is definitely enjoyable by most audiences, and that is why they introduced a fella that was a young John Connor so that he could be the audience surrogate into understanding this Terminator. The idea of the Terminator isn't, you don't need to watch the first Terminator to understand what Linda Carter was doing. All you needed to understand was that Linda Carter was willing to kill...
Linda Hamilton?
Oh, sorry, Linda Hamilton was ready to kill or be killed in service of her child. And that is the part that's important. And the part that's important is that this Terminator was programmed in order to protect Linda and that sweet little precious angel baby who only wanted to imbue us with Guns N' Roses lyrics. And that was what, like, it was also in the same vein that it was made for adults, it was also made for children. And for a lot of things that were made for children, this one actually stuck and it worked because I was a child when I watched it and I believed in it.
Time. Wow. All right. 3 great movies, 3 halfway decent arguments. Before we chime in with votes, let's go to Dan Merle on the fact check.
Well, fans love all these movies. All 3 of them appear on IMDb's top 250 list, so all 3 fan favorites. This does not play into my decision. It's just a fun, as Mike said, in this argument about Star Wars. Is it sci-fi? Is it fantasy? George Lucas said that he did not consider Star Wars to be science fiction. He said it's much more tuned to mythology, to psychology, and to history than it is to science. However, we accepted the answer, so that will not play into my decision. However, that is just
he
an
made the
interesting
prequels
factoid.
too, so
there you go.
He's a genius.
Technically, the female robot's name in WALL-E would be Eve. He pronounces it as Eva, but it's Eve is her given name. And I don't know how we ended up in a fight about the best sci-fi movie ever, arguing about chairs again. But I guess that's just what we do on this show now.
We just love chairs.
Just argue about chairs all the time.
That's who we are now.
Other than that, we caught the Linda Carter thing during the fight, so
thank you.
Other than that, we're good.
Thank you, sir.
I
Okay, so live in the now. We have 3 fighters and 4 chairs, so we're all good. Our legs will atrophy. So this is a difficult decision. Like I said, these are excellent movies. I mean, I love all of these movies. But one has to reign supreme as the best science fiction film in this argument. I felt like, Mark, you were taking a lot of hits on Empire, and you didn't tie it into the larger themes. I thought Mike introducing that definition did a lot for him, but it also did a lot for Danielle, and Danielle embraced that, and she broke down in, I think, more specific terms than you did, Mike, how Terminator 2 brought themes to life and held a mirror up to society as far as humanity and being a mother trying to protect her son, and T2 does have a lot of that. There were some arguments against WALL-E that I wasn't sure if they were germane to what we're doing here as far as, the chairs and the fat shaming, but you did give me some food for thought. At the end of the day, though, I feel like Danielle brought it home with Terminator 2, so I'm going Danielle on that one. Let's go to Dan Merle.
Very difficult decision for me. It came down to, I thought that 2 competitors got very kind of stuck in a quagmire on some very specific things about their movies. And I thought that one competitor actually related it back to the question, back to the genre, back to why it is representative best of that genre, and that fighter for me was Mike. So I'm actually going to, it's not my personal opinion, but I think based on the question and general argument, I'm going with Mike on this one.
Right on, yeah. It was. So we are locked up at 1-1. Roth Cornett.
Well, it's time for the people to speak in that case, Hal. And they have spoken. The chat is alive with debate. Other movies mentioned before I get to the poll, I will get to it, is Alien, Aliens, Blade Runner 2049, 2001, Children of Men, Arrival, Back to the Future, 12 Monkeys, and Metropolis, keeping it old school.
Those are warm
Healthy debate about semantics as well, and whether Star Wars is or is not a fantasy. I will break it down to these 2 comments. Makari Walker says semantics are pedantic, which I like that comment. And Ryan Malarkey says, you know what? We need more semantics. So there you have it. Split decision on that.
Okay.
But this is where they're at on the question. Pretty close. Terminator 2 at 33%, Empire Strikes Back at 22%, and WALL-E 43%. So Mike gets the point.
Mike Carlson takes round numero 1.
I see you, Mike
I
Carlson.
was going down.
Okay.
I see you.
Hashtag Botanicus charging into the lead. All right. Question number 2. A Quiet Place opens on Friday, directed by its lead actor, The Office's John Krasinski.
Womp.
Who's the best?
Hell.
We got the
Wrong question.
Oh, okay. My round 2 is different from your round 2. You know what? Let's just make...
It's live television.
Okay, let's just... all right, flippy-doo. Spoiler alert for round 3. Okay. In honor of Blockers, opening in theaters this Friday, what movie character would you send to chaperone your child on prom night? What movie character would you send to chaperone your child on prom night? And it's round 2, so Mike Carlson, you're gonna go first.
Okay. First of all, I want to say that this question to me is a very like a setup to send some sort of a tough character that's gonna, intercept your son or daughter if they get up to any mischief. And I say, no, that's not going to happen because my son or daughter, they're going to be raised right, they're going to be responsible, and they're going to be raised in a very sex-positive environment, okay? They're going to understand what the risks are, and they're going to understand themselves, and they're going to be very comfortable. So I'm not so worried about sending maybe a tough person there to, like, beat somebody up, which is why I have chosen Falkor the Luck Dragon from the Never-Ending Story. All right? Now let's talk about Falkor real quick. First of all, prom is expensive. Tuxes, dresses, flowers. We know that stuff adds up. So number one, these kids are not going to need a limo. They're going to ride to the prom on the back of Falkor, okay? That is a pretty cool way to get to prom, and it, by the way, very cheap because I'm close personal friends with Falkor, the Luck Dragon from the Never-Ending Story. And here's the thing. Once they're there at the actual prom, Falkor, it doesn't have to stand in the corner like some old creep. Falkor can float above everyone, and it leads to a very cool strobing effect. It's going to be of like a whole atmospheric thing at this prom. I think this is going to be wonderful. All the kids there are going to appreciate Falkor. And Falkor, let's be honest, loves friendship and brings luck. Falkor the Luck Dragon.
Thanks, Mike, for your never-ending answer.
Hal gets the point.
Danielle Radford.
I think the only person that you could possibly choose is fucking Ripley. Ripley from Aliens is amazing, and obviously, and I'll go ahead and say it because I know you're all waiting for it, obviously she can be like, get away from her, you bitch. But also,
Yeah.
for starters, you bitch can be anyone. You bitch can be gender neutral. If there was a bitch who was trying to be close to a woman, then Ripley would let them. But also, I believe
Semantics.
that there is no one
Pedantics.
Semantic pedantics. There is no one who would be more supportive and more protective of a group of children than Ripley. She has shown it on many occasions. If you give Ripley a child, she gon' protect that child with her life. And you know what? If some asshole fucking dude is trying to like be real weird with a child or with any kind of child, then Ripley will just show up with a mech. Bump, bump.
All right, mech suit to the prom. Danielle with Ripley. Mark Andreyko.
I picked Logan from the X-Men franchise because he would be, one, he would be able to fit into the gymnasium. 2, he's actually fun to be around. And 3, he would not scare people away. He would be there to protect the kid. But if the kid could explain to him why he wanted to go hook up with someone, he'd probably cover for him because that's how Logan rolls. He'd be the perfect guy to protect your kids from bad stuff, but the one that if he felt they were right would take care of them. I think that Wolverine would be a fun. He's like the cool uncle that you want to have. He won't let you do anything too horrible, but he's also not going to like just block you completely.
All right, snickety snickety, fight it out.
No, this is about who I would send my child to go on prom night. This is not about who would be the fucking coolest person that would get my child hella laid on prom night.
I didn't say he was going to get them laid, but if the kid could say, hey, if the kid was going to...
No.
He's the one that would give your kid a rubber.
Exactly.
Whoa.
And he's also the person that would give my kid a lot of beer and would be like, oh, hey, You get to just fight whoever you want to. I'm
your kid-
Wolverine. I don't care.
yours is a woman with severe PTSD who would be a helicopter mom. She's like the homeschooling mom.
Yes,
taking
and that
kids
is
to
the
prom.
person I would send my child. It's not about who's the best person. It's about the person I would send my
then
child
the
with.
question should be like your
I would
parenting
send
skills.
my
And
child
what
with someone
What
that
school
way.
can a dragon fit into the gymnasium? And
First of
fly
all, prom
around?
is not necessarily at a gymnasium.
Okay.
Like when it was mine, it was at a large Hyatt ballroom in
That's
Schaumburg,
fair,
Illinois.
because-
Could that dragon fit in the Hyatt ballroom and fly around?
Yeah,
with
there was a
strobing effect?
utility entrance that was big enough where Falcor could have floated in. And there's a tall
Dan, fact check
ceiling.
the size of the venue for his prom.
Yes. I will have to look the address up at another time.
And again, you guys you're arguing all of these semantics, but at the end of the day, it is, as a parent, who would you trust
The question-
to make sure that no one would harm your child? And
That's
it's
not what that
gotta
question
be.
says. It says, who would you send to chaperone
would you
your
send to
child on prom
chaperone
night? And
your
not
kid?
who would oppress
Well-
your child and make them want to do even worse things because you give
Why
them
are
no
you
room
a
to
bad
breathe.
parent, Mark
Why are
Andreyko?
you a helicopter parent? Your kids
Right,
are going to
these are two
Menendez you.
spectrums of
Yeah,
bad
later.
parenting. This is too much supervision, and this is not enough supervision.
You have
Falcor
a- you
falls
have-
right in the middle.
No. You have
Falcor doesn't have seatbelts.
You have a
so
Falcor-
Falcor, you're putting
and
your
you
kid
have a
on.
luck dragon, and these kids want to get lucky, so he's going to help
Yes,
these kids
but
get
luck
lucky.
can be-
luck
takes the
you're
shape of
putting
any
your kid
kind
on
of luck,
Falcor.
Mark.
Semantics.
You're putting your kid on Falcor. Falcor does not have seatbelts. There is no way, except for grabbing his fur, that those kids will be safe. You're sending a 16-year-old to
Falcor-
ride on a luck dragon who
Falcor-
might accidentally go upside down and then lose
Are
your
your
child?
kids allergic
What
to
is wrong
sunlight?
with
Are
you?
your kids like, are they the bubble kids? Your kids are going to be so hovered over and so, they're either going to be really, really, really weird.
Falcor,
or
hold
really,
on.
really,
Hey,
It's
really
still
angry.
Ripley. She still rips the heads off of people, but she's
Which
also
is
not
great
going
for a
to let
mom,
some
which is
dude-
great for a mom, yeah.
Falcor-
which is great for a mom.
Falcor has been instructed to go only on side streets and keep his level
No.
toward the street, so
You
he's not
can't-
too high up. If somebody
you
falls
can't
out, it's
say
going to be a
he's on the
minor
side streets
accident.
Falcor
He
is
couldn't fly
doing
because his
this.
wingspan is too big for a side
He's
street.
fly-
Maybe an interstate.
Not
but
in
a side
Schaumburg,
street.
Illinois, Mark. There are wide streets there. This is my kid. We're talking about my kid here. Okay? They've been raised differently than your kids.
Okay, so how is your kid going to stay on Falcor?
Falcor is low to the ground and he grabs the fur. It's the beautiful fur of Falcor. Of course, it also has some sort of a binding
Hey,
thing
remember
to
when
it. He's made of
remember how
dreams.
Falcor's entire thing was like, "Hey, hold on, I'm gonna go as fast as I can." Ooh,
He doesn't have to
and
do
then,
that.
No. He buzzes the tower of all of the children that kid went to school with in order to scare them. That is not
He was
responsible.
trying to
because
do a different
Ripley
thing.
doesn't scare people at all. Ripley,
Not on purpose. No, Falcor did it on purpose. Falcor was
But
vengeful.
You're talking out of both sides of
Falcor
your
was
mouth.
like,
You want this hovering mom to scare kids away, but she's not scary. But Falcor is. Talk about
no,
semantics.
Falcor did it on purpose. Falcor was like, "I'm
And
going
Ripley
to do
didn't
it
get away
to
from her. You
scare
bitch
people."
is her general introduction to people. That's a handshake.
It's her
for Ripley?
general introduction to
crazy.
aliens that might murder your child.
They-
Yes, that is the person I
They ain't
want.
gonna be at the prom.
We don't know
If
that.
Logan is chaperoning a
Spoken like a true
prom,
paranoid helicopter mom.
if Logan is at a prom, there's going to be a sentinel attack. Let's be honest. The
And if
sentinels
Falcor's
will
at a
attack.
prom,
Yeah,
There's-
nothing
he's
but
gonna
good
destroy the
stuff will
building,
happen. He's
flying
not. He's
around.
nice. He's not going to. He's also good friends with me in this scenario. I'm good friends with Falcor.
this isn't slash fiction. Mike.
Ripley
This
is
And
going to have to
again,
leave. It is,
Baby,
this is what,
if Falcor is your friend, then it's literally like Falcor is going into prom intentionally to scare other children.
No, he
That
doesn't-
doesn't actually make. Your kid still has. I don't think we
Okay,
all remember how prom works.
as
Your
you're-
kid still has like 2 weeks before they graduate.
All right, a little variation on the final thoughts, the final argument. I want you to take us through a quick from pickup to drop off. What happens on your prom? Keep it 30 seconds or less. Pickup to drop off. We're starting with Mike Carlson.
Okay, well, I have a magical horn that summons Falcor. So I go
Magical
outside and I play the horn, and Falcor shows up, and he's very low to the street. There's a party of about 16 kids because my son or daughter are very popular, so they have a lot of friends. We take photos in front of Falcor. A lot of the neighbors come out, and they're like, "Oh, wow, Falcor's back," because he was just there for a picnic on Sunday because he's good friends with me. So the kids ride. They're having a great time on Falcor, and also, like, it's open. Like, so there's no way to, like, sneak booze or anything because he's an open, there's no compartment in his fur or anything. And they pull up at the prom, of course. Everyone's like, "Whoa, cool! You guys are the coolest. We just had a stupid limo." And like, also now my son or daughter, they're getting a lot of accolades because they're like, their dad is very cool. So then they get there, and then Falkor goes around the utility entrance where they're bringing in the different refreshments, and one of the utility workers opens the door. Falkor comes in, and he just sort of watches what happens, and he brings everyone good luck. And I'll say two last things.
Yeah.
If something goes out of hand, he does breathe fire. So he can burn someone to death if he needed to, but
Great.
he wouldn't.
Hopefully that doesn't come into play.
Hopefully it
Anything
doesn't
else?
come into play. And also, I just want to say his eyes shine with the beauty of a million stars.
That's lovely. Thank you, Mike Carlson. Danielle Radford, what happens start to finish at your prom?
Okay, so what happens is that my beautiful, amazing, adorable child has been picturing prom for her entire life. And even though apparently in 20 years in the future, some weird woman on Odyssey.com or whatever is going to write a whole thing about how she's like, well, I was going to marry that guy, but it's really great that you did a thing. And so Ripley comes up to her in a fucking spaceship and picks her up and is like, hey, I got your dude. And my child is like, this is weird. It feels weird that Auntie Ripley is coming to pick me up. And then Auntie Ripley, the spaceship turns into this big, beautiful mech that is also accommodating for a prom dress. And Auntie Ripley is like, you want to get in here? And my child is like, more than I've ever wanted anything in the entire world. Oh my God, thank you, Auntie Ripley. And so my child climbs up behind Auntie Ripley because she doesn't have her driver's license yet for this kind of machine. And there is behind her a very adorable and terrified, cute young man who was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And my child turns and says, hey, it's okay. We're just going to walk to prom in this thing. And and that kid goes, do I get to operate the mech? And my kid goes, nah, you dick. And then she takes the controls, or she doesn't take the controls. Her Auntie Ripley has the controls. And she's like, but you get to pretend with me.
This is great, but I have to cut you off because we haven't even gotten to prom yet, and we've been going for a long time. But
yeah, because that's how magical it is.
But as someone who wants a mech suit of their own, I appreciate that.
Mech
Thank you.
suit to
Yes.
prom.
Thank you, Danielle. Andreyko, Wolverine to prom.
So it's my kid's senior prom, and I remember when I was a kid and was going to prom, I wanted to have enough freedom to do things, but I know my parents didn't want me to go just rage. So I send my kid's godfather Logan with them because he's going to be there to protect them from something really bad, but he'll let them stretch their wings because unlike some people, I don't want my kids to be these weird little homeschooled, sealed in plastic human veal kids that are afraid to do anything and must have a horrible mom over them. And I also don't want a giant fire-breathing dinosaur to destroy their gym. So I want this guy that seems cool enough that he can be by the kids, but he'll be there to rein things in if they got too out of control or too dangerous. And then I'm going to not use 3 minutes to talk since you said only 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mark Andreyko. All right, wow, 3 very different visions of prom. Let's go to Dan
I
Merle.
had a vision of prom.
Indeed, as you all did. Dan, how are the facts?
These are all Falkor facts.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Falkor comes from the German Fukur, which is derived from the Japanese Fukuryu.
Isn't that what
So you
Danielle
can
said
imagine
4
why they
times?
changed it to Falkor for the movie because
Yeah.
it sounded a little
Like Danielle?
like what Danielle's been saying the whole show. Falkor, the model for Falkor was, the biggest model was about 50 feet long. That was the biggest model. And I found online some pictures of the Schaumburg, Illinois High School Gymnasium.
That's
And
not
it
where the prom was, though.
It appears that
Not
it
where the
would
prom
be
was.
possibly...
You asked him to find that.
It appears that it
hide
would
it.
be a tight fit, but I'm making the judgment that Falkor would fit inside
Could
of
he
the
fly around the
gymnasium.
ceiling?
Of course he could.
Well, I don't know if he can fly around the ceiling,
Well, that was his big thing.
Of course he could.
but he could fit inside, although Mike also never specifically. The question was asked, could Falkor fit inside?
He flies around like it in a donut shape.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Dan.
my favorite
Dan,
fact check ever, Hal.
while you're over there, you've been over there the whole time. You'll probably stay over there for the rest of the fight. But while we're talking to you, why don't you go ahead and weigh in first?
This was fairly easy for me. I felt like the Ripley kid would never get to the prom, and while I would like Uncle
betrayed.
Logan, that's a nice argument. I like the idea of Uncle Logan being there. To me, the whimsy For me, I think prom should be a magical night, and I think the whimsy of Mike's pick would make the night even more magical. So I'm gonna go with Falcor.
I mean, I guess it's fine if you want your kid to die Dan.
Great. That is one for Mike Carlson. Well, Danielle, I like the idea of Ripley until it just, I don't know, the more I thought about it, the more bleak it became. and then I don't understand what this spaceship turned mech suit is. That was very confusing for me.
You should watch some movies.
Does she have a spaceship that turns into her own mech suit?
No.
Okay.
It's a new thing.
All right.
It's not in continuity.
And so for me, it came down to ANDREYKO and CARLSON, and so this did seem magical. But you painted a practical picture for me of the fun uncle. I really grasped onto that, and then this guy will protect the kids, and maybe we'll give them a sip of booze. I want my kids to have a little bit of fun, but not too much fun. I think that's what Logan would give them. So my vote is for ANDREYKO. We're locked up 1-1. Let's go to Roth Cornet.
All locked up, and the chat is talking a lot about this. A lot of healthy debate again. First of all, just a nice comment. 3 of my favorite people in fighters.
Oh,
we agree.
thank you.
Who said that? We want to give him a shout out.
That was Patricia Carrillo. Thank you, Patricia. We agree 100%.
Nice.
That's very sweet of you.
Joanna has a concern or a thought. Marty McFly, if he's good enough to chaperone his own parents, he's good enough for my fictional kid. Alexandria Miller, I was going to say Helen Parr, Elastigirl, which is kind of like the mix of everything you guys are talking about.
Go to prom.
Josh says, I like Carlson's train of thought in that most kids won't need some trained assassin to protect them. So with that in mind, I choose Ian Malcolm strictly because I think it'd be fun if my kids knew Jeff Goldblum. So it's both Ian Malcolm and the actor Jeff Goldblum in this scenario, which I like because you're getting 2 things at once. And Joby says, the only thing, Mike, that you're not thinking about as Falcor is what it's going to do to the hair. Have you considered hair in this? The
Wait, is that
implications?
Joe B or is that Joe?
Joe B says, I'm not sure that Mike has considered the hair implications. However, having said that, the rest of the people with you, Mike, because here is the poll. Ripley, 10%. Wolverine, 42%. Falcor, 46%.
Wow.
Mike
Everybody likes that
Carlson
dragon.
Mike
takes
Carlson, you are
it.
killing it today.
You charge out to a 2-0 lead. Wow, wow. Mark, also you might have swayed maybe the voting audience if you had mentioned the fact that Logan drives a limousine in the last movie.
Yeah, but you don't want that Logan taking you.
That's true.
You guys went to some really dangerous proms.
Yeah.
Is the thing that I have noticed.
I didn't actually go to prom. The person I was supposed to go to prom with slept with my cousin. So
Sad story. Let's talk more about. Oh wow! Yikes!
And her cousin was from the future.
All right, moving on to what was formerly question 2, but is now question 3. A Quiet Place opens on Friday, directed by its lead actor. The Office's John Krasinski. Who's the best actor turned director? Must have been an actor first. The best actor turned director, and we're going to start on the end with Danielle.
Okay, so for me, the best actor turned director that I picked was Ben Affleck. And I know that there are many reasons that people might disagree, but I think that Ben Affleck is a better director than he ever was an actor, and mostly than he ever was a producer. The movies that he has made have been critically acclaimed as far as an actor turned director goes. And not only were they critically acclaimed, like if you're looking at movies like Argo, which tell an amazing tale about a true story. You're looking at something in The Town, not a true story, but also something that was critically acclaimed. Gone Baby Gone. Everything that he has done as a director, and he hasn't done as much as maybe some of the other people in these categories, but all of his movies so far have been critically acclaimed, and many of them nominated for Oscars.
There you go. Thank you, Danielle. Back around to Mark ANDREYKO.
My pick was Warren Beatty. He may have only made 5 films, but he made 4 really great films and 1 not so great film. Reds, which is an amazing film. Heaven Can Wait, a remake of the classic comedy that still holds up to this day. Bulworth, which is basically like watching a documentary in today's world. And one of the first comic book movies, comic strip movies that embraced the visuals of comic strips and comic books. Dick Tracy, a film that is sorely underrated. A film that did most of its stuff with practical special effects and was ahead of the curve as far as the comic book movies. We had the Batman series from Tim Burton, then we had The Rocketeer, then we had this. And Dick Tracy still holds up as an amazing, amazing film. And he's won Best Director. I believe he won Best Director once. He won for Reds, and he's been nominated 3 times. So he's also very critically acclaimed, a little bit more so than Affleck.
All right. Thank you, Mark Andreyko. Mike Carlson.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. And so on and so on. I could go on.
Yeah, there are several more days.
There are more days.
There are more days.
Look, Happy Days, Andy Griffith Show. This is Ron Howard, of course, one of our great sitcom actors of all time, turned director. A man who floats under the radar when it comes to directing. I feel like he does not get enough credit for all the good movies he's made. Apollo 13, Beautiful Mind, even a movie like Rush, which people might not have seen, is still a good movie. Like, this is a guy who likes to be a chameleon when it comes to being a director. He doesn't, he tries to adapt to the material. He tries to make everything very different. And look, he's still in this late part of his career, probably about to have his biggest success ever, directing the Han Solo movie. I'm not saying critical success, I'm saying money success. But this is a guy who I think when you add up all of the work he's done, whether it's acting, also what are we, by the way, debating? Are we debating the whole package here?
Nope.
We're debating just
Directing.
Okay, great. That's great, because that's perfect. He has had so many great movies that have touched people, and when you look through his IMDb, you go, oh, he directed that. Oh, he directed that. Parenthood, I forgot he directed that. This is a guy who is great. He does not get enough credit. Ron Howard.
All right, fight it out.
Well, first of all, Warren Beatty directed. Heidi Montag says no to plastic. So I feel like we can go ahead and.
It wasn't
get
about
rid
films.
of-
Ben Affleck cheated on his wife with the nanny.
No, but
So we're gonna start
he
talking about
didn't
stuff?
direct. Ben Affleck cheated on his wife.
Ben
with a
Affleck
nanny.
directed a short film called I Killed My Lesbian Wife and got a 3-picture deal with Disney.
Did you actually see it? Because
No.
I actually watched Heidi Montag says no to
Well,
plastic.
that's your fault.
Well,
the
but
warning
if
was
we're
there.
talking about-
and we're talking about their
actual
films. We're not talking
movies.
about all their other stuff. And talking about films.
No, we're talking about the movies
statistics
that
of these
they directed,
That was not a
and I think that
theatrical
for
film.
but it counts. He was a director,
Oh, it counts
and I
because you
do.
want it to count. Okay, all
No,
right.
it
These are the
counts
rules.
because
fine.
it counts on IMDb. It's literally on his page as a director, and as much as it saddens me, we can't always count like people's producer credits, and that's what we do a lot for Ron Howard. I love him.
Yeah,
I
but you
think he's
forgot
amazing.
a very specific movie out of the 4 films Ben Affleck has directed. A movie called Live by Night that cost $180 million. That has, if he's such a good director, he should have a good idea about casting. He is the worst. It's the worst performance he's ever given. It was a huge failure that sent him into a spiral.
Okay,
because
but
it
if
was
we're
such a
looking
failure.
at- if-
Warren, that's a 25% failure.
Yeah, okay,
average.
it's a 25%, and he hasn't, like, look, we're looking at Argo, we're looking at The Town, we're looking at Gone Baby Gone.
And we're looking at Live by Night. That was
He
his
also
most
did,
recent
like, a
one.
really compelling Beatles movie, which also, if we're talking, like, as much as I love some of these other movies, they are not all winners.
I
my
would
dudes.
say of the 3 directors we're talking about, his movies are the least rewatchable. Ron Howard arguably has a ton of great movies.
Ron
Ben
Howard, a lot of the
great.
movies that
Thank
we
you.
count as
But-
him as
yes,
directorial
but-
are actually him as producer
But,
credits.
no,
No,
not
and we
just
should
me.
make
I
sure that we
actually
count
did my
those.
research on this one.
Yeah.
But as far as Ron Howard goes, Ron Howard has a lot of great movies, but he's also, his run lately has been pretty bad. The Da Vinci Code movies, The Paper, The Missing, Heart of the Sea, Ed TV, The Grinch, Rush.
I think The Grinch
Okay,
is
so
pretty
what's your
good.
favorite?
Beautiful Mind.
What is your favorite?
Beautiful Mind is
Warren
pretty
Beatty
good.
movie?
My favorite Warren Beatty movie is probably Heaven Can Wait
Tight. When was that?
in the 70s.
Tight. So your
So
favorite
that
Warren Beatty
eliminates,
movie?
so that eliminates Hitchcock. That eliminates other.
No, Hitchcock had a plethora. The Hitchcock had a plethora of movies. Warren Beatty is still going. Ron Howard is still Ron Howard is still going. Obviously, as you can say whatever you want to about him, but my choice is still going. Warren Beatty, what has he done in the last few years?
Who's going to make? What has Ben Affleck done in the last few years? Live by Night.
Well, Warren Beatty did that
Or
weird Howard
Argo,
Hughes movie that no
or
one saw
The
that looks like it
Town.
was shot on like an iPhone that no one saw.
And no one saw half of Ron Howard's movies.
Yes,
are
but they're
awful.
better movies than the newest Warren Beatty movie.
Well,
See,
wait till-
yes.
wait till
True story,
Solo
I'm
comes.
sorry.
Here's the thing.
It's
Solo
not- it's
is
not
going to be
this was
fine.
judging
It's
by
going to
the
be B- movie.
But
You're
no,
going to
it's
have Chewie
judging
will be
by
in it.
how
It'll be
many,
fine.
how much of their product has been best. It's not how much of their
Yeah, and 4 of
directorial.
Warren
No,
Beatty's
it's not
movies are
about how
great.
much of their directorial product is. Like, what has he done since? And Ben Affleck has
that's
actually
not the,
had
that's
a
actually not
really
the question.
good.
You're adding things to these questions that aren't there. The question is, who is the best actor turned director?
He's got kitschy movies like Splash and fun movies like Night Shift. These movies
And
that
he's
are
got movies like
rewatchable that are fun.
NTV and The Da Vinci
NTV is
Code
less-
and The Grinch,
But
movies
isn't
that
it
are
interesting? Isn't he a
bloated-
more interesting artist because he does so many different types of things?
No,
Sure, some of them
no.
aren't going to be amazing, but none
No,
of them are
sometimes
like
you-
that's
you-
horrible.
sometimes you just get chances
We're
to
gonna
do
go to
things.
final thoughts. Danielle?
My final thought on Ben Affleck is that he was always going into this because he wanted to be a director, and it's something that he talked about all the time. And when we think of his directorial debuts, the directorial moments, how many of them do we think of that are actually flops? Like one?
Out of
Most
4.
of his out of 4. That's only 25%. How many directorial things have there been from other people who you can give anyone as much whatever they want, but Ben Affleck has been very consistent in the movies he's done. Argo, The Town, Gone Baby Gone. He has been a fantastic director.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. Mark Andreyko?
Warren Beatty is not only Hollywood royalty, he made 4 fantastic films. Yes, he's had a couple of flubs, but he's made 4 films that are classics that are rewatchable. Ben Affleck doesn't even rate in this category. Ron Howard, I would argue, is closer to this because there's a couple movies of his that are classic, but if you look at his win-loss record, he's at about 50%. There are about 50% of his movies that are utter failures that no one remembers because they were so bad, because we want to think of Ron Howard as a good director. Warren Beatty has made great movies, has directed himself to an Oscar nomination that has never happened with this guy or this guy. And his movies he's the most rewatchable movies and the most important movies of anybody in this category.
Thank you, Mark. Mike?
Ron Howard was obviously given a spirit. He was given a lesson by people like Tom Bosley, people like Andy Griffith, a lesson that says, work, try things, and work a lot. And I think it's a testament to him that in his, he's got to be in his mid to late 60s, he's getting handed a giant franchise movie like Solo. I think that shows that this guy is still at the top of his game. You go through his IMDb, it's incredible. The depth and breadth of his work, you don't even remember, as I said. He's got kitschy comedies, he's got dramas, he's got serious, historical pieces, he's got trash, the Angels and Demons. He's got all of that stuff. He's got stuff your parents like. He's got stuff the kids like. I think when you're talking about a guy, he works a lot. But he's like Neil Young, okay? Neil Young puts out an album every other year. Sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes it's okay. And Ron Howard at worst is okay. And at best is awesome and amazing. And he's got better movies than both of these guys combined.
All right. There we have it. Let's go to Dan Merle on the facts.
Just a couple things. Warren Beatty had 2 Best Director nominations for Heaven Can Wait and Reds. He's been nominated 4 times for writing, but only 2 Best Director nominations. Heidi Montek is Under Plastic. Ron Howard is listed as a director on that one, not Warren Beatty.
Still terrible.
Had a minute looking for that one. That is Ron Howard who's listed as a director on that one. Factually, those are my only 2 cleanups for this fight, and I'll give you my judgment whenever you ask.
Great. Thank you, sir. There are films by all of these directors that I really like. We presented some strong arguments. I love Bulworth. The Bulworth soundtrack is off the charts. That's good stuff. You don't like it?
It's great, but it doesn't count. But it's also great.
Okay, I'm just saying
That's
that's just a personal preference for me. I like that he mentioned Bulworth. It always makes me think of the soundtrack. Okay, but that aside, it
agree.
really came down. You started arguing the better films. Which director has the better library, the better winning percentage, and that Andreyko really started to pull ahead. But at the end, CARLSON really reinforced for me just how Ron Howard has made directing his calling card, and just the way he's been this consistent working director, and the body of work amassed, which I feel like CARLSON really sold by the end with the different types of films, that swayed me at the end of the day. So I gotta go CARLSON with Ron Howard.
Thank you.
Even though great arguments for everyone else. Dan.
I have felt a little bit differently. I felt that the failures on the filmography, which is something that's going to come up for any director you choose, I thought of all of the fighters, for me, Mark was the only one who made the best case for his director in spite of their failures. I feel like both Mike and Danielle sort of tried to shove theirs under the rug or pretend like they didn't exist, whereas Mark said, yes, I will admit that. Yes, I will admit that the last one wasn't good, but look at it on balance with everything else, and I think that those make up for it. And as an argumentative tactic, I thought that he kind of outdid those two on that metric. And I also think that he made a better case for the overall quality of the films, their importance. So I'm actually siding with Mark on this.
Great, it's 1-1, Mark and Mike. Let's go to Roth.
Let's listen to the people here. Some other suggestions were newcomers, Jordan Peele and Greta Gerwig from this past year, Clint Eastwood, Sofia Coppola, Jon Favreau, Mel Brooks. Random person says Rob Reiner had an insane run with Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, and Princess Bride. That's hard to beat. Benji the Builderman said, effing hell, guys. Charlie Chaplin. Come on.
Sure.
So that's a great poll as well. And
Somebody subscribes to the Filmstruck.
George says, oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, yeah, I see what you did there.
The poll says Warren Beatty 13%, Ben Affleck 15%, and Ron Howard with a resounding
that's the one they've seen the most movies of.
71%.
Well, to be fair, that was the one that I picked initially.
There you have it. Mike Carlson takes that round, and he takes a big 3-0 lead going into the speed round. Nope, one of you will face him in the speed round.
Wait,
and
do I get to go sit down now?
No, you are sitting down, by the way.
man.
Chairs are part of the show. Okay, so we are going to have a little tiebreaker between ANDREYKO and Danielle. All right, so is there a hat for...
Just choose a number between
Okay,
1 and 3.
choose a number between... Danielle, choose a number between 1 and 3.
2?
2. Okay.
And is this the same as the old one? You do whoever
Nope.
brings in
No.
first?
Nope. So, Danielle, you will have 20 seconds,
Okay.
15 seconds.
Nope.
Okay, you have 15 seconds,
I
Danielle,
will not get this.
to name actors who have played members of the Connor family in Terminator movies. Any actor who's played a Connor in Terminator movies. Whenever you're ready, go.
Linda Hamilton. Linda Hamilton's son, Connor Hamilton. Linda Hamilton's grandson, Linda Hamilton Jr. Linda Hamilton's third son.
Time. Okay, that was 1. Your name. Just name that.
Do I get the same question?
That was 1. No. Choose.
I know, right?
Choose 1 or 3.
3.
3. All right, Mark. You have 15 seconds to name actors who were in the 2001 Ocean's 11 crew. Begin.
Brad Pitt, George Clooney,
You got it.
Matt Damon.
That was an easier question.
All
than
right,
that
it is
one.
time for the speed round. So. Yeah, Mark has to sweep the leg, brother. You gotta sweep this whole thing. If Mike gets even one of our speed round questions, you go home a winner.
Are the
do I get
speed
to
round
sit down
questions
now?
like this, or
Or
the speed round
stay.
questions
No,
for the
the
audience?
speed round
You get to help,
questions
I think,
are old
right?
school, okay? So, again, how the speed round works. There are 4 speed round questions. The first person to chime in with their answer gets to speak first. They will get 20 seconds, and then 10-second rebuttal, 10-second rebuttal. Okay? Roth will no longer be tallying your votes. She will be chiming in with her own opinions as far as who wins each point. Okay, Roth, you ready for that?
I don't have any opinions.
Ah, come on.
Too sweet always.
All right. It's Mark versus Mike. Let's do it. First question of the speed round. Steven Spielberg floated the idea of a female Indiana Jones movie. Who should play the female Indiana Jones?
Emma Stone.
Emily Blunt.
You started to say it. You interrupted.
Well, why did he hit the desk?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no buzzer.
You just have to say it. That's how we play movie fights,
Okay.
Mark.
You said
Emma Stone.
Okay, so I heard your full answer first. Emma Stone.
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Okay, 20 seconds begins whenever you speak, Mark.
Part of the fun of Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford's great performance is that he's a good-looking guy that women are going to like, but he's not too good-looking that men are going to be threatened by him. He's an everyman in the best sense of the word. And the same thing with Emma Stone. She's pretty, but she's not the Angelina Jolie, too gorgeous, like it's a supermodel. She looks like she could be an archaeologist, and she'd get down and dirty, and she has a sense of humor about herself and a likability that has a very Harrison Ford vibe to it.
I think all those things apply to Emily Blunt, but I think she has the thing that Indiana Jones needs, a stoic quality, a quality of a little bit more of a badass. Emma Stone is awesome, she's great and stuff, but I think as far as Emily Blunt, you're a little more scared of her. You're a little more sure that she can kick somebody's ass. She can go into a temple, she can raid things, she can punch a Nazi in the face. That's something I see Emily Blunt doing more than Emma Stone. I see Emma Stone being funny. I just do not...
I think the likability factor is huge there. I think he's right. Emily Blunt is a little too dark. She could do the dark, violent stuff, but that's not the heart of Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is an adventurer that we can relate to, and I think Emma Stone is far more relatable.
I think Emily Blunt has got a whip-smart wit. I mean, I think that's why she's Mary Poppins. She's a character that has warmth, but it's inside, it's internalized. That's what Indiana Jones is all about. That's what Harrison Ford was. Emma Stone is great, but I see her...
Time. All right. Wow. Emma versus Emily. Roth, talk to us.
You know, I thought, I love both those choices, actually, but Mark, for me, made the argument about why Emma Stone would fit as that character. In this case, I would have to go with Mark.
Sure. That's 1-0 for Mark. Dan
Those
Merle.
were two great arguments and two different takes on the character. I loved Mark's kind of argument about the approachability, the kind of every person quality that Emma Stone has and how that's Harrison Ford. But I also liked Mike's take that Emily Blunt can kind of do the down and dirty work of being Indiana Jones. This is literally almost 50-50, but I think I'm going to lean slightly towards Mike, but I think they're two great arguments.
Okay. 1-1. I feel like Roth really crystallized what I was thinking. I thought Mark made the better argument as to why Emma Stone would embody the spirit of that character better. Mark gets the point, and we got ourselves a ball game. It's 3-1.
Oh, hey, so I was... Oh, sorry. I don't actually vote in this round.
Okay, do you want a thing to say?
Everyone listen.
Well, who would you have picked?
Honestly, both of you.
Great,
Everyone
thank
has
you.
fun with me.
All right, question number 2 of the speed round. John Boyega says he'd be open to joining the MCU. Which Marvel character should Boyega play?
Blade.
Deathlock.
Okay, Blade. Deathlock. We heard from Mike first. Mike, 20 seconds begins whenever you speak.
Blade is an awesome character, and we need Boyega. He's a star. So obviously there's not going to be a Deathlock movie or a Blade movie. Blade has got to come back, and he's got to be better than ever. And I think that Boyega can say a lot without actually doing a lot of dialogue. He has both the range to be like a very talkative character, but also a guy that can say a lot with a look. And that's sort of what you need with Blade. That's what a cool thing that Wesley Snipes was able to do, is to make this guy badass, but say a lot with your face.
Unlike Deathlock, Blade is a character that is so imprinted on Wesley Snipes. John Boyega could take a character that doesn't have any baggage and make it his own. Deathlock is the Terminator meets Blade. He can act with a look and act with silence, and he has such an expressive face, and the torment and stuff that he could bring to that. Blade is such a glib character where Deathlock has a tragic quality to him that makes us want to root for him.
I think Boyega is great at playing glib. I think we need a character that has to use some of Boyega's natural skills. I also think just like we want this guy to be a star in the movie. We don't want him to be like a weird Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. character, because that's where they're using Deathlock.
Also, too, the problem with Blade is definitely a hard R character, and Disney and Marvel Cinematic Universe are never going to make a hard R character without the language. Blade is blood. Deathlock can be a future movie. Deathlock can be the Terminator with superheroes.
Time. Wow. Whew, what a throwdown. Let's go to Dan Merle.
Mark, I think, took this one for me. I think it just the not having the baggage attached to that character, you can do something dynamic. Wesley Snipes imprinting so strongly on Blade. I'm gonna side with Mark here.
Okay, that's one for Mark. Roth?
I thought that was really tough because Mike had a great argument for why Boyega would be great as this character, and also I have to say, I'm weighing in how Deathlock is currently being used. He's right. You know, if you're going to use Boyega, you want him to be in a starring role, but overall, I think Mark made the stronger point about creating a character that we haven't seen yet and how he could be used. So I'm going to give it to Mark, too.
Bam, Mark ANDREYKO making this a real contest. It's 3-2. Again, if Mike takes this next point, it's over. But Mark ANDREYKO on a run in the speed round. Let's go to question number 3. Dr. Evil returned on The Tonight Show. Better Michael Myers, SNL comedian and star of Wayne's World, or serial murder and star of the Halloween franchise?
SNL.
Halloween.
Okay, we heard SNL and Halloween. Mike Carlson, you spoke first.
Michael Myers is a murderer. He's killed people and he's been in a ton of bad movies. Mike Myers has created some of the best characters that we love. Sure, there have been a couple of missteps, but Austin Powers and Wayne, I mean, are you kidding me? This guy's one of the funniest people. He's a hero to millions of me's out there who wanted to be funny. He is a beloved person. Michael Myers is scary in his Halloween costume once in a while, but no one has an attachment to him like they do with the best Mike Myers.
I completely disagree. Mike Myers on Saturday Night Live, if you read the Vanity Fair article, stole a lot of his jokes and abandoned his friend after doing Wayne and Garth. He's a joke thief, and he's made horrible choices since his Two Good Movies a decade ago. Michael Myers in a horror movie is one of the most iconic characters and one of the scariest movies ever made. Thus, they keep trying to reboot it because that character has stayed with us. And talking about Halloween masks, what did they wear in Baby Driver?
There are way worse Michael Myers movies than there are Mike Myers movies, okay? And I'm saying there are better, more different Halloween costumes. You can be Sprockets, you can be Wayne, you can be a little guy in the bath.
Give me any of the, admittedly, some really bad. Give me the Busta Rhymes Halloween Resurrection movie over The Guru, over So I Married an Axe Murderer, or over him hosting The Gong Show.
I need 10 more seconds, hell.
Time. Wow. Oh, boy. You know what? Great first rounds, but then I feel like you just macheted yourself a la Michael Myers, Mike Carlson, when you were describing all of the, where you use most of your rebuttal to describe all of the Halloween characters you could dress up as Mike Myers SNL characters. The kid in the bath, that...
Simon is the character's name.
Which you stole.
That sunk you
stole
from me.
Simon
Okay,
from
let's.
who?
Okay, we're not here to dissect the SNL behind the scenes gossip, but I'm giving my point to Mark Andreyko on this one. Let's go to Roth.
Oh man, this one is another really, really tough one because you both made some compelling arguments, but I think that Mark, he just made the best argument about why this is an iconic Halloween costume, so I'm giving it to Mark.
He was down 3-0, but now he's tied 3-3. Mark Andreyko charges back into this game. Wow. This next point will determine our winner.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thanos has demanded that fans not spoil the Infinity War. What's the most ridiculous Infinity War spoiler you can think of? The most ridiculous Infinity War spoiler.
I have a question about the question.
Okay, I'll hear it.
Do you mean ridiculous like something that we think might actually happen, or something ridiculous like funny? A spoiler we
Either way. Either.
Thanos marries the Black Widow.
Thanos marries the Black Widow.
The most ridiculous spoiler would be that years prior to the movie, a race of creatures that are Shrek-like in appearance have infiltrated the Marvel Universe, and they've secretly been living in the Marvel Universe as the heroes. So Captain America, Iron Man, they all take off a head in the middle of the movie to reveal Shrek. And all of the heroes are actually Shreks.
Okay, the Shrek characters versus Thanos marries the Black Widow. You know what? We asked for ridiculous, and we got ridiculous. Mark, you spoke first.
Well,
you go first.
Mine is really ridiculous because Thanos marrying Scarlett Johansson is just plainly ridiculous. What Mike just described is actually what's going to happen in Avengers 4, except it's not going to be Shrek, it's going to be the Skrulls, and it's called Secret Invasion. So he just replaced something. That's actually potentially a real spoiler, and that's how they're going to recast everything. Can you imagine 90-foot tall Thanos and tiny little Scarlett Johansson getting married? It's like Beetlejuice and Winona Ryder. It's hilarious, and it'll never happen. I wish it would, though.
All right, imagine you're in the middle of watching this on IMAX, and Tony Stark flies in to confront Thanos, and he's like, hey, I'm Shrek, and then he lets a big fart out. Okay, everyone will be like, what the hell? This is insane. First of all, how did they get the license? Is there some sort of DreamWorks Marvel thing? People will be wondering about that. And all of a sudden, all the heroes take Shreks, and now there's a whole army of Shreks about to attack Thanos.
Once again, he's just taking an actual plot point and replacing it with Shrek. I don't know if that really is, if there's any real plot thing there. It's like saying, you know, what if the Asgardians were all caterpillars? It's not really, it's just, there's no thought process.
That would be crazier than your idea if all of them were caterpillars. People would blow off their blinds blown. But think about it, Shrek. And then, of course, where's Donkey? Donkey appears in Avengers 4. That would be the next logical step. So we know...
time.
Logical.
Wow.
Love it.
Woo! Quite a throwdown, and yes, it lived up to the ridiculous part of the question. Let's go to Roth.
I gotta say that the one for me that really fulfilled the promise of ridiculous has to be Mike. I mean, that is a ridiculous, insane spoiler, so I would have to give him the point.
Okay, 1-0 for Mike Carlson.
And Donkey is always the next logical choice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Everybody
Thus,
loves
it's not ridiculous,
Everybody loves a
it's
donkey
logical.
mention. Dan.
I felt like Mike was a little bit of a one-Shrek pony, though. I think all I just heard of him was saying Shrek, and Mark's right. It's just Secret Invasion, but with Shreks. Mark's was
wild.
ridiculous enough for me to, that combined with his counter argument for me to give it to Mark and send it to you, Hal.
Okay. Wow, this truly is a great moment in sports, coming down from 3-0 to tie at 3-3 in the sport of movie fighting. You know, I love a donkey reference.
Thank you.
And the Shrek choice was, I think, a pretty ridiculous choice, but ANDREYKO really got in my head talking about the how that is simply renaming the characters who could appear in Avengers 4, and because Mark just like got in my head and gave me pause, I thought about his was appropriately ridiculous. So, man, Mark ANDREYKO with the comeback victory.
Wow.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Good job.
Well played. One of the
Yeah.
great comebacks in movie fights history. Mark ANDREYKO, how do you feel after a comeback like that?
This was fun. I was a little nervous. It's been a while, and with the new formats and format changes, but this was actually really fun. I don't think we yelled too much. We didn't get too dirty. These speed round questions were actually really great. I think that whenever I do movie fights before, it was always fun when the answers other people chose were answers that we didn't get. So we were all arguing against things that we kind of liked, and that's always the most fun. And we saw that we are all three really passionate about movies. And I thought it was I would have liked to watch this one. This one was really fun.
Well, the beauty
ANDREYKO.
the beauty of YouTube, you can go home and watch it later today. Tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on Facebook and on Twitter, and I will be appearing at San Diego Con, Motor City Con in Novi, Michigan in May, and where else? I think that's it.
Great. Thank you, Mark ANDREYKO. Congrats. What a victory. Mike Carlson, well fought, very
Thank you.
entertaining.
Thank you.
Tell everybody where they can find you, buddy.
I am Fat Carlson, PHAT. There it is on the screen. Twitter and listen to Podcast The Ride at Podcast The Ride on Twitter, and give us a rating, like say a nice comment, a review at iTunes, because that helps us out.
It is a great
It's
podcast.
so
It's
great.
a really,
It's so
it's a
funny.
really great podcast.
I love
you
it.
very much.
I'm subscribed. I love that
thank you.
podcast.
Awesome. Danielle, thank you for bringing the fun and the funny and the movie knowledge. Talk to us. Tell them where you can find you.
You can find me at Danielle Radford on the Twitter. You can also find me on Tights and Fights, which is my weekly wrestling podcast, which I love so much. You can find me here like literally every Thursday. I just kind of live here. And also, y'all are doing so good with finding me on the Instagram, so I can start getting these fat lady sponsorships. Keep going. I need free clothes.
Thank you, Danielle. Dan Merle, thank you for holding it down on the facts and the whatnot.
Thank you for following the script for the show that we pre-rigged, Hal.
Yeah.
According to everyone watching live, despite not knowing what anyone's going to say or do.
Hashtag rigged.
We are. This is not rigged. We go by the bylaws of the International Movie Fighting Committee.
Yeah, we'd be in front of the movie fight Hague if
Wait,
we.
Dan, we don't rig this?
No, I'm sorry, Daniel. We don't.
That's just the way it happened. Dan, anything else? Any other exciting news notes? Tell us where to find you.
Yeah, here. Over on SJ News, Screen Junkies News, every morning and every day, doing reviews with Roth. We just put one up for A Quiet Place, which you can go check out now.
Yeah.
Really good movie that you should check out this weekend. And all around the other channels, here generally.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Roth Cornett, pleasure having you here.
This was fun as always. There is a lot of amazing Donkey Marvel fanfic happening in the chat that I encourage you all to continue on the Twitters.
Thank you, Roth. And
We'll find
I
out.
want to thank you for watching Movie Fights. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram and hit us
Gang,
all
gang.
up. Thank you for watching.
sweet.
Bye-bye.
Too sweet.